The theme this year at the World Economic Forum, Borge, seems to be about rebuilding trust in a fractured world. Do you want to start by explaining to everyone watching at this moment, how does this annual meeting of the World Economic Forum hope to live up to its mission of rebuilding trust?
So there is a clear trust deficit globally. There is also a huge geopolitical competition. But even in a fragmented world, we need to collaborate because some of the most pressing challenges are global and they are transboundary. Looking at, for example, then future pandemics, climate change, cyber attacks. We also know, for example, from the war in Gaza now, that we need to collaborate so this doesn't escalate out of control.
There is a big meeting of national security advisors taking place at the moment at Davos. Do you want to give us some insights about what you hope to achieve? Because it's very rare for so many NSAs to come together in the same hall.
It's true, and we appreciate that as a curtain raiser to our meeting. It's, of course, a very, very serious topic. It's at the backdrop is the war in Ukraine, but also all the other complications. What we hope, though, is that there can be a formula for peace moving forward, because every war has to end, also the Ukrainian war.
So how do you see that happen? Let's take, for example, the Israel-Hamas war at the moment and the kind of conversations you expect will happen at the World Economic Forum around this, because the big concern there is the prospect of escalation.
Yes, and we were initially very concerned that this would spread also to Lebanon with the war between then Israel and Hezbollah. We saw some spreading to Iraq, and now, of course, we are seeing that certain countries are attacking the Houthis after they have tried to close the Red Sea for traffic and shipping for the last weeks, and they were warned by the Americans, and so far I hope and believe that this will not escalate to the whole region. I think this will now be in Gaza. I think the Houthi thing is a separate one, and also we have to factor in that there is a rapprochement between the Saudis and the Iranian, brokered by the Chinese. There's also a rapprochement between the Emiratis and the Iranians.
How do you see the impact on global shipping lines? You're speaking to a whole host of shipping magnates, industry globally. How are these two wars that are playing themselves out at this moment impacting global corporate outlooks in your view?
So we know that the trade growth is much lower today than it used to be. Last year it was 0.8% compared to 3-4% in the past. We do expect trade to pick up a bit this year, maybe growing as much as also the overall growth that we expect around 2.8, 2.9. But it doesn't take much to also have negative impact on this. If we close the Red Sea, de facto the Suez Canal for weeks, it also has a very negative impact on the global supply chain. So a lot is at stake. And also we know that this has impact on the oil price. And for big oil importing countries, like, for example, India, just $10, $20 increase in the oil price has very negative effects on the economy. So I do hope that this now will not escalate further, and that the shipping can reconvene as usual in the Red Sea just in a few days' time.
In the last two editions of the World Economic Forum, the Russia-Ukraine war was at the center of a lot of conversation. It seems now, with America going into election mode and because of the Israel-Hamas conflict, a lot of attention is moving away. The Ukrainians becoming increasingly anxious, the president very frustrated. WEF has usually leaned in strongly on the side of the Ukrainian and wanted that this war ends. How do you see Russia-Ukraine play out? There are concerns that with the world's attention now divided and shifting away from this war, maybe Russia will soon start having the upper hand.
So the reality is that after Putin tried to invade the full Ukraine, and started the war, his aim was to take Ukraine in a week. That did not happen. He still has control of 20% of their territory. Russia has probably lost 300,000 soldiers. They probably lost 60 to 70% of all their tanks. It has led to substantial increase in defense spendings in Europe. It has led to Finland joining NATO and probably Sweden pretty soon. And the Russian economy is not in a good shape. So I think that Russia has not come out well from this. But at the same time, the civilians in Ukraine are the big losers. They're being attacked every day. So I think, of course, every war has to end. But when the Ukrainians were able to then keep Russia out of most of Ukraine without any military support from the West, and now they have the 6th largest army in the world, military-wise too, after all those contributions, it is not possible for Russia to take Ukraine. But what you can see is there may be a continued bombing, shelling, and all this. So hopefully we will, in the coming year, see a solution on this based on the UN Charter and territorial integrity.